به دنیایی که در آن میتوانیم بانک خودمان شویم خوش آمدید.
So we're standing here in my living room in Tokyo, Japan, and I'm going to show everybody just how amazing Bitcoin is by sending 100 euros worth of Bitcoin as of today's value through my TV, onto the camera, onto the TV in the Netherlands, and anybody with their Bitcoin wallet ready that scans what they're going to see on the screen in a moment will be able to claim the 100 euros worth of Bitcoins, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop it or to freeze your account or block it or control it in any way. So on the TV here we have a Bitcoin address that I've just generated, and I have my phone here. I'm going to scan the QR code for the Bitcoin address on the TV. Now I have it. I'm going to send 100 euros worth of Bitcoins to that address. So we'll hit send, and anybody can monitor on blockchain.info the balance of this address. There it is, 100 euros worth of Bitcoins just arrived at this address. So total received 100 euros, final balance 100 euros. Just like that. So on this next screen you're about to see, anybody with their Bitcoin wallet that scans the private key that corresponds with that address will be able to claim that money just by scanning the code that you're about to see on your television. So if you want to take a look, here it comes, 100 euros ready for anyone to claim. All you have to do is scan this one right here, and it's 100 euros worth of Bitcoins as of today. By the time you scan it, it might be worth even more. So there it is for anyone ready to claim with their Bitcoin wallet. Okay, Holland, now you've just seen the power of Bitcoin. I sent 100 euros worth of Bitcoin from here in Tokyo directly to you guys through this camera, through the network, through the TV, right into your home. If I had tried to do that, send you the money with a traditional bank, it would have taken several days and probably cost 30 euros. I just did it right now with Bitcoin instantly, basically for free, and didn't have to ask anybody for permission. I didn't need a bank, I didn't need a government, I didn't need anybody. I just needed myself and you and our smartphones to do it. That's the power of Bitcoin.
به دنیایی که در آن میتوانیم بانک خودمان شویم خوش آمدید. ما از یاد برده ایم که دولت‌ها و بانک‌ها تولید پول را کنترل می‌کنند. اما گروهی از افراد هستند که این سیستم را بدیهی نمی‌بینند و از سازوکارش به هم می‌ریزند.
Wall Street is fraud, America is fraud, the world is fraud, banks are fraud, central banks are fraud. We live in an era of fraud. It's all based on fraud, and they get a percentage of the fraud. That's the business model. To suggest that there is any moral or ethical aspect to anything that's going on now is to be completely naive about the fact that we live in an era dominated by financial terrorists, jihadis of banking. They're here to kill you and themselves. They believe in an ideology, not the Quran, but Adam Smith, that they completely misread and interpret as something to justify their blowing themselves up. Janet Yellen's a terrorist! Mario Draghi's a terrorist! The Central Bank of Japan is a terrorist! These are the real terrorists!
Funds received.
این گروه به چیزی که سیستم پولی بهتری است روی آوردند. سیستمی که در آن دیگر به بانک نیازی نیست، چون مبالغ مستقیما از شخصی به شخص دیگر منتقل می شوند.
In a system of debt, one of the two parties is always the slave. And that is the architecture of money we live in. That is the architecture of money we use in our civilization. An architecture of money where you have no control. An architecture of money where every interaction is mediated by a third party that has absolute control over that money. Bitcoin is fundamentally different because in Bitcoin, you don't owe anyone anything and no one owes you anything. It is not a system based on debt. It is a system based on ownership. And no one can censor it, no one can seize it, no one can freeze it. And what they will tell you is that they're worried. They're very worried. They're worried that criminals will use Bitcoin. But the truth is that they're far more terrified that all of the rest of us will. Thank you.
بیت کوین یک پول رایج که بیشتر به عنوان ابزار سهل الوصول برای تبهکاران شناخته می شود، ناگهان به موضوع مهمی در کنفرانس‌های نوآوری مالی در سراسر جهان تبدیل شده است. مروجان این سیستم مشتاقانه از یک معجزه دیجیتال میگویند که میتواند جهان را از ویرانه‌های مالی نجات دهد. در 2 نوامبر 2008، درست 6 هفته بعد از سقوط لمن برادرز، در سراسر جهان بحث داغی در مورد چگونگی نجات این بانک‌ها در گرفت. بعد در یک تالار گفتگوی اینترنتی در مورد رمزنویسی یک پرونده، یک سیستم پولی کاملا متفاوت مطرح شد. مطرح کننده این سیستم خود را ساتوشی ناکاموتو نامید.
First time I heard about it, I was at lunch with a buddy in Texas, and he said, "Man, there's this crazy new money." And so we talked about it over lunch, and then I went home and I said, "Man, I want to see if I can buy some." At first, I wanted to buy some.
I emailed a friend of mine. I think I probably saw the white paper in some web forum or something. You know, it just said this is some electronic currency thing. And this was publicly available. You know, this was posted, I think December, 2008 or something.
And these were the darkest days of the financial crisis. So that to me suggests a very clever mind that saw an opportunity, the perfect opportunity to introduce a new radical technology and a new radical approach to money and finance at just the right moment when people would be very open to making this big shift that's required to adopt a new currency.
I'm pretty sure Satoshi is a human being, although I'd really love to go find out that he was some advanced AI. But 99.99% chance he was a human being.
What's exciting for me is like a global economy. Right now we say we have a global economy, but I can't take $1 and give it to you in the Netherlands and then you know what to do with it, right? You would have to go and change it to your native currency. And when you kind of eliminate that step, and I can just send you one form of payment and you can send me a product in a matter of seconds, that starts to change things from a global perspective. So
the first wire that I sent was for $25,000, and this was in early 2011, and Bitcoins were somewhere around $1. All the way along, I was buying Bitcoin, and anytime I managed to earn some dollars from my other company, I put it into Bitcoin, and at this point, the vast majority of my net worth I've been keeping in Bitcoin for a while now. I'm glad you didn't get the parking pin. The car is actually like the perfect color for Bitcoin. It's like the Bitcoin orange. So we wanted to order some like Bitcoin decals and put like Bitcoin logos around the car and then drive it around Tokyo to help advertise Bitcoin. But still never got around to doing that. Maybe someday.
راجر فیریست تجهیزات دست دوم کامپیوتری می فروشد. اما چند سالی است که به نام مسیح بیت کوین شناخته می شود. او در سال 2011 $25,000 بیت کوین خرید که ارزش آن به $6 میلیون رسیده است.
And somebody closed my I usually leave the trunk the hood open a little bit so that I can reconnect the battery, but I don't know how it got closed between now and the last time I was here, so we'll have to
Some people think of Bitcoin as sort of an early adopter thing, like, okay, I'm already too late, or so isn't that a problem for Bitcoin?
So thinking that it's too late to get involved in Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with the internet or too late to get involved with using a cell phone. Like, it's not too late to get involved in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to make your life easier in so many ways, and the price of Bitcoin too, it's not too late for that either. Bitcoin's like $270 a Bitcoin right now. If Bitcoin becomes really popular all over the world, Bitcoins are going to have to be worth at least tens of thousands of dollars a Bitcoin, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per Bitcoin. So thinking it's too late to get involved with Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with using the internet. Of course not. Like it's ubiquitous in our lives, and Bitcoin's going to become ubiquitous in our lives as well. Perfect money should have a limited supply. That's one of the most important things. It needs to have a limited supply. It needs to be easily recognizable. It needs to be durable. It needs to be transportable. Bitcoin has all of those things better than any other form of money the world has ever seen. And that's why when I noticed Bitcoin for the first time, I realized that it's so incredibly useful as money that people are going to start using it more and more.
راجر در توکیو زندگی می کند. او همه مسئولیت‌های شرکتش را طبق قرارداد واگذار کرده تا بتواند وقتش را برای توسعه بیت کوین صرف کند.
So it's a pretty exciting time for Bitcoin right now with all the stuff going on in Greek. I mean, Bitcoin's up about $10 since yesterday, just since all the news on the Greek referendum vote, and just every day in Bitcoin is so exciting. So, and you can see, lots of trading and everything just in the last 24 hours there. I paid to put up a billboard in the heart of Silicon Valley right next to one of the busiest expressways. It just said, "We accept Bitcoin, memorydealers.com," and then listed some of the parts that we sell. But then after that, I started paying for national radio ads in the United States that were on more than 100 radio stations across the United States, and paid for that for a couple of years.
اوکی یک سایت مشهور در ژاپن هم از حالا به بعد بیت کوین را میپذیرد. در جلسه کنفرانس راجر به گسترش این مفهوم جدید کمک میکند.
But today one Bitcoin is 3万5000円だけどビットコイン世界中人気になったら絶対何百万円とか何千万円ならなければならない。絶対ビットコインは人気になったら。
ロジャーさんから説明をしていただきますので、ロジャーさんぜひビコをご説明いただければと思います。
E-moneyにはこういうことがあるんだけど、ナタリーさんは私より日本語うまいだから日本人だから、これはちょっと難しいことだから説明して聞いてくれませんか？
すごいお金にはすごい様々な役割があるんですけれども、ビットコインはですね、手数料もかからなかったりとか、すごく透明性が高かったり、すごくオープンなリソースであったり、すごくお金にある、重要な要素をさらに超えていい要素がいっぱいあるということですね。
今までのビットコインの前のお金にはこういうことはちょっとありましただけど、今までには人間の歴史のことを最初から今までビットコインは一番こういうこと持ってるだから、世界中には一番いいお金になる。ビットコイン財布が持ってたら今から送りますよ。送った。もう入った。早いでしょ？5秒じゃないよね。早い。何？これ何？すごい。そう、アプリインストールしたら。そう今送ってる。もう送った？もう入ったでしょ？でも今日は1000円分。ビットコイン本当に世界中人気になったら100万円になるの可能性は全然あります。
Roger, are you giving bitcoins away?
I'm giving every single person here 1,000 yen worth of bitcoins, which is like $8 and something cents. So, 今もう入った。それリフレッシュもう入った。OK。I've given away thousands of whole Bitcoins to just various people on Facebook that would post their Bitcoin address. And this was back when Bitcoins were a couple of dollars each, so I'm sure those people are pretty happy at this point.
چطور این سکه دیجیتالی که ساتوشی ناکاموتو اختراعش کرده ارزشش صدها برابر از دلار بیشتر است؟ و چرا مشتاقانی مثل راجر می‌خواهند دنیا به بیت کوین روی آورد؟ برای درک این مسائل باید ببینیم بیت کوین های جدید چطور در فرآیند پیچیده‌ای به نام استخراج ساخته می‌شوند. ویدئوهای آموزشی طوری نشان می‌دهند که انگار همه می‌توانند بیت کوین استخراج کنند.
Millions of people all over the world earn real crypto money daily. It's quite simple. Just download the special software, connect to the web, and wait for your profits to roll in. For mining, you don't need any special knowledge. You can mine at home, at work, or at a cafe, anywhere there's access to the internet. In fact, lots of people have already received a good income from mining.
It's interesting, but does it get us?
Does it get you out of the bed in the morning? No, it doesn't. I get it. Does it get you out of the bed in the morning? No, it doesn't. I get it.
مارشال لانگ به عنوان یکی از اولین استخراج کنندگان بیت کوین شناخته شده است. حالا او مدیر عامل شرکت فاینال هش است که به طور حرفه‌ای بیت کوین استخراج می‌کند.
We can talk about it more in Chicago. That's fine. So, back in the early days, you know, I'd get phone calls from my buddies. Oh, hey man, I lost 10,000 bitcoins because my computer blew up, right? Back then, one bitcoin was less than a penny, right? So nobody cared. They lost $10. I don't care, right? And now 10,000 bitcoins, that's $5 million. That's a big deal, right? So now it's interesting to see how the industry has changed. There wasn't YouTube videos and all these nice things to show you how to mine. So it took me about 3 weeks to hook a computer up to figure out how to do this mining. And back in the good days, you could take a laptop like this and you could mine maybe 100 or 200 coins in a day. When summertime in Houston came, my wife was like, this AC has been on for 24 hours. It's really hot. What are you doing up there? I said, oh, I'm just running some computers. And she walks up there and, you see 50 graphics cards all running at the same time. And it's very hot. And she's like, okay, you gotta get out of here. You gotta figure something else out because it is too hot.
Hey, what's up, Nerdgasm fans? Jerry here, aka Barnacles. I'm here with Marshall Long from @FinalHash. Now, we're out here at, I would say, what's going to be the largest Bitcoin mine in North America. And it's realistically an actual mining operation. Like, you can pretty much attribute everything that's going on here to like a real gold mining operation. It's like you have heavy equipment, you have cost, you have fuel costs, and you have recovery. Everything. That you then go and sell and turn into real money.
That's right.
Machines are in here. You got S4s, S5s, everything. This is literally the loudest place ever. It's like being in a wind tunnel. You got air blowing through the top. Move your hair out. I mean, these things are all blowing out massive air. Now the cooling in here is so efficient that if you put your hand back here behind the units where they're drawing air, it's freezing cold. It is nice, ice cold air coming in here. You put your hand in the front, down the center, it is burning, burning hot. So if you're asking yourself, is Bitcoin mining profitable? On this scale, hell yes it is.
یک بیتکوین پاداش حل یک معمای پیچیده ریاضی است و استخراج کنندگان بیتکوین کامپیوترهایشان را شب و روز در حال کار نگه می‌دارند تا این مسائل پیچیده را حل کنند. همه کاربران بیتکوین در دنیا به هم مرتبطند و شبکه نظاممند آنها تمامی معاملات بیتکوینی را در یک دفتر کل عمومی به نام زنجیره بلاک پردازش و بررسی می‌کند. ساتوشی ناکاموتو آن را طوری طراحی کرده است تا کاربران بتوانند شماره حساب‌های بیتکوینی رایگان و بینام به اصطلاح کیف پولشان را تعیین کنند. اختراع ساتوشی نیاز به بانک را حذف کرده است چون همه کاربران با هم بانک محسوب می‌شوند. اما کاربران اولیه بیتکوین به هیچ وجه نمی‌دانستند بیتکوین و زنجیره بلاک تا چه حد گسترده می‌شود.
Sometime in spring of 2010, I could be wrong on the exact dates, but basically someone put out a request saying, hey, I'd like to buy something with Bitcoin. Will anyone buy me a pizza? And I believe someone here in England bought the person in Florida a pizza for 10,000 or something Bitcoins. I mean, it'd be worth, a very large sum of money today. And that was the first Bitcoin commercial transaction.
گاریک هایلمن اقتصاددانی در دانشکده اقتصاد لندن است که اولین محققی است که درباره بیت کوین و زنجیره بلاک به عنوان یک سیستم مالی جدی تحقیق کرده است.
As a scholar, did you sort of label it, or was it something totally new to you?
It looked very different to me. I mean, as soon as I heard the word decentralized and the fact there was a network powering this currency rather than a central issuer, that immediately captured my interest as something quite different based on what little I knew about alternative currencies at that time. What it meant for people who are libertarians in particular is that the government couldn't come in and shut down a server and end Bitcoin. It would have to shut down the entire internet or turn off the electricity grid to stop Bitcoin. And so that was really attractive to people who are worried about these types of things.
خیلی از مشتاقان اولیه بیت کوین آزادی خواهانی بودند که بیت کوین را راه چاره نهایی برای مداخله‌های دولت می‌دانستند. این ویژگی بود که راجر ویر را به بیت کوین جذب کرد. او در اوایل دهه 20 عمرش کاندیدای حزب آزادیخواه در کالیفرنیا بوده است. اما در حین کمپین انتخاباتیش به جرم قاچاق مواد محترقه غیرقانونی به 10 ماه زندان محکوم شد. بر اساس ادعای خودش این یک روش دولتی برای دور نگه داشتن کسانی است که با عقیده‌های دولت مخالفند.
So I have two Bitcoin related keys. I have the bitcoin.org and I have the blockchain.info Bitcoin blockchain logo.
So you think it was a political case?
There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And in fact, even at one of the pretrial conference things with the ATF agents, my attorney and the U.S. attorney, my attorney was saying, hey, these are store-bought firecrackers we sold on eBay. We can pay a fine, do some community service, and be done with this. There's no reason to destroy my life over it and send me to prison and make me a felon. And the U.S. attorney at that point was kind of nodding his head like that sounds reasonable. And the ATF agent literally pounded his hand on the table and shouted, but you didn't hear the things that he said, which I think summed up very clearly. They weren't mad about anything that I had done. They were mad about the things that I had said, because the ideas that I'm trying to spread are subversive to the state. I did 10 months in federal prison, and I was scared of the U.S. government. The moment I was allowed to leave the U.S., I left, and I haven't lived there ever since. And they have what's called an exit tax. So at the time you announce you're a United States citizen, they tax you on your entire net worth at capital gains tax rates, and you have to pay them that money. Otherwise, they'll probably either send you to jail or at the very least not ever let you back in the country ever again. If you think about it, it's not all that different than slaves from the past having to buy their freedom from the plantation owner.
Money creation by the state is sort of connected to state aggression for you, right?
In my line of thinking is if you or I create counterfeit euros or print euros or dollars or yen, we would go to jail for counterfeiting because it's destructive to the economy. By counterfeiting dollars, it's stealing from everybody else in the economy that has money. When governments do the exact same thing, it has the exact same negative effects. The only difference is they call it fancy names like quantitative easing or economic stimulus, but it's destructive for the exact same reasons. My hobby growing up and in high school and since has been studying economics. And the more you study economics, the more you realize that all these government interventions in the economy prevent the world from becoming as wealthy and prosperous as it otherwise would become. And suddenly now we have this tool that separates money from state. Like everybody today thinks that separating church and state, yeah, of course they should be separated. But a couple hundred years ago, it was, heresy to say that church and state should be separated. And today it sounds maybe a little bit crazy to say that money and state should be separate. But I think in another decade or two, people are going to think, oh, what the heck were we thinking, letting governments be in charge of money? That caused so many problems and so many misallocations of resources around the world. Of course, Bitcoin is better. Okay. Thank you.
چرا انحصار دولت‌ها و بانک‌ها در تولید پول نامطلوب جلوه می‌کند؟ ساتوشی ناکاموتو در مقاله گسترده‌اش نظرش را در این باره بیان نکرده است. اما به نظر می‌رسد که وی می‌خواسته برای بیت کوین برخلاف پول ارزش قائل باشیم. او بیت کوین را به روشی برنامه‌ریزی کرده که حداکثر 21 میلیون بیت کوین استخراج شود. قرار نبوده بیت کوین شبیه پول باشد، بلکه شبیه طلاست. در نوامبر 2013 این رویا به واقعیت تبدیل شد وقتی که یک بیت کوین ارزش 1 اونس طلا را داشت. رمز خود بیت کوین هیچگاه هک نشده است، اما در سال 2014 هکرها اطلاعات مشتری مونتگانکس را در یک معامله آنلاین رو بودند و این امر باعث شد میزان مبادلات بیت کوین سقوط کند. به دنیایی که در آن میتوانیم بانک خودمان شویم خوش آمدید. در مرکز مالی تیمز در لندن، ایزابلا کامینسکی خبرنگار از همان ابتدا نرخ معاملات بیت کوین و انجمنش را نقادانه دنبال می‌کرده است.
I've always been a geek about finance, and I've always been a geek about how the system works. So like the really boring nuts and bolts, the plumbing of the system. And I think in 2008, it was the first time we all really thought, actually, not only is the system as we know it possibly crumbling, there might be opportunities for new systems to come up as a result of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, so I guess I started writing about it again around here, 2012. And then we had the first little rally. And then this is also this is very reminiscent to the classic bubble
I know that you
chart.
guys want to change the next.
So you see, this is the famous bubble chart, which has takeoff, first sell-off, bear traps. That's the first little micro, mini dump. Then you go to the new total bubble, then it crashes, and there's a bit of like a return. People think maybe it's going to come back, and then it crashes again, and then it gets back to a more realistic trajectory. And you'll see that really is very reminiscent to what we've seen here. What everyone is really wondering is, will we see a consolidation of this price, or will it recover somewhat, or will it go completely to zero?
What do you think?
I think what's best for Bitcoin is actually if it just stays stable. So everybody agrees volatility is currently the biggest enemy of Bitcoin.
Satoshi's dream, what would that be?
The paper doesn't really say what his big dream was. He just wanted an efficient mechanism that was cheap. But in terms of what I think people have projected his vision as being is this world where we are all our own bank. We don't have to depend on any intermediary, and banks are gone. In the current economy, because of the way our system is structured, if I decide to hoard my dollars, I'm usually hoarding them in an institution that is using them as a means of capital raising, and they will be lending them out. So my money, even though I'm saving, that saving is going into an investment somewhere else, being done by a bank, etc., and it's helping to grow the economy. So my saving doesn't disadvantage the economy. But in Bitcoin, there isn't that opportunity. So a hoarded Bitcoin is a hoarded Bitcoin. It's totally idle. It has no interest, it has no yield. It is simply sitting there doing nothing, and yet the person who holds on to it thinks they have a right to future income flow as if they had been investing.
When the line was flat, people like massively bought in or mined Bitcoins, and they are now like multi-millionaire billionaires.
They're the new 1%. They're the 1% of the Bitcoin economy, which again goes against the whole democratization side of the argument, because really you're not democratizing the economy. You're just transferring the power from the existing elite to a new elite.
این حقیقت که یک عده انگشت شمار از استخراج کنندگان بیت کوین حالا مولتی میلیونر هستند، یادآور سیستم بانکی فعلی است که در این سیستم بانک ها متهم به ثروتمند کردن عده خاصی هستند.
So I got this degree in international development, and I was with my dog on this hill, and I was like, yeah, what could I do? I could go try and work, and say East Africa. I could try to go and explore economies there and see what's happening. I could try all these things, and then I was like, why don't I just try and break into the financial sector in London? That would actually be really, really fascinating. That'd be really amazing. And then once I had that thought, I just became obsessed with this idea.
برت اسکارت نویسنده ی کتاب هک کردن آینده پول درباره احیای بخش مالی است. او برای غوطه‌ور شدن در سیستمی که منتقدش بود به مدت 2 سال به عنوان دلال در شهر لندن کار کرد.
We're now in the city. We just passed the border dragon. These dragons mark the boundaries of the city of London. So it's the financial district. Cut off all my hair. I bought my first suit. Interestingly enough, I had 2 interviews with Lehman Brothers, literally weeks before they went bust. And I remember being up in the sort of like 35th floor or something, and the guy was like, "Oh no, everything's fine. You know, don't believe the stories you see in the press about us." And then they went under. If you created an entire society that was reliant on Bitcoin, you'd have massive problems of inequality. But it's very important in that it forms a kind of counterpower to the existing bank payment system. So while I can critique Bitcoin as much as you want, I'm always aware that the existing bank system is highly flawed, and I like the fact that this exists as an alternative. What's happening right now in a lot of the banking scene is this move towards it's called a cashless society. But if you think about what that actually means, it means every single payment that you undertake has to go via a commercial bank. Now, that means every single transaction you ever do will be monitored and recorded in a database somewhere. It means you'll always be giving fees to various credit card companies and so on. So there's potential for huge amounts of surveillance. There's all sorts of problems that come with a cashless society. In that world, something like Bitcoin, which is an electronic version of cash, or electronic form of, I guess, an electronic equivalent to cash becomes quite important.
It's St. Paul's Cathedral across there, which is where the Occupy movement set up camp in London, and they were there for a long time. They tried to occupy the London Stock Exchange, but weren't able to get in, so they chose St. Paul's instead.
You think of Bitcoin and the whole movement being as a sort of better form of Occupy?
It's a different form of Occupy. You know, maybe it's a follow-on from the Occupy movement in some ways.
بیت کوین به عنوان شکلی از اعتراض بر ضد سیستم بانکی فعلی در هلند به دست 3 مشتاق بیت کوین تبلیغ می شود. آنها اپلیکیشنی به نام بیت کاسا ساختند تا همه خرده فروشان را متقاعد کنند که بیت کوین را بپذیرند.
Als ik nu mensen spreek over hoe Bitcoin werkt, dan kijken ze in eerste instantie soms vreemd op van, goh, werkt dat zo en wat bijzonder en apart. Maar diezelfde mensen weten ook helemaal niks van hoe het huidige systeem eigenlijk in elkaar steekt. En dat is echt ook bijna niet te geloven eigenlijk.
Nee.
Hoe dat...
Mensen willen het ook. Je merkt vaak dat het stuit op weerstand of gewoon ontkennen. Van het kan niet dat daar een klein clubje bedrijven is die al het geld maken. En dat wij niet alleen als individuen, maar ook als bedrijf en zelfs als overheid, dat bij die banken moeten lenen. Terwijl die banken dat letterlijk uit het niets maken. Dus ja, dat vind ik super scheef.
Nou, we zien hier de plattegrond van Arnhem. Dit is een beetje het centrum van de stad. We hebben hier het modekwartier. En je ziet dat de bitcoin-acceptanten zitten verspreid. Maar met name in het centrum hebben we een enorme grote hoeveelheid bitcoin-acceptanten.
Kun je zonder euro's gewoon een week een leuke tijd hebben in Arnhem?
Dan vermaak je je uitermate goed, ja. Je kan overnachten, je hebt vrije tijdsbesteding. Je kan het wijnmuseum bijvoorbeeld, en bowlen.
Ja, er zijn al verschillende toeristen geweest, eigenlijk bitcoin-toeristen. Ja, we hier iets hebben opgezet waarmee je gewoon met gemak een weekend een hele leuke tijd kan hebben en alleen maar bitcoins kan uitgeven. Hoe is het verder? Nog niet gestorven met de betalingen, geloof ik?
Nee, dat valt wel mee. Er zijn wel enkele mensen geweest die hebben betaald met de bitcoin.
Ja, maar kan wel wat meer, geloof ik.
Altijd.
Ja.
Eigenlijk liever wat meer als met pinautomaat, maar ja, dat is afwachten allemaal. Hè. Weet je, iedereen is verkikkerd op die pinautomaat of dat pinpasje. Maar iedereen die loopt met een smartphone. En als je die banken dan neemt, die nemen gewoon te veel geld voor alles. Dus je moet die pinautomaat huren of kopen. Je moet bundels kopen. En dan de stortingen moet je betalen. Al die dingen, als je dat allemaal bij elkaar optelt, dat kost gewoon te veel geld.
En u als ondernemer krijgt dus bitcoins. Ja. Maar u krijgt via bitkassasysteem krijgt u euro's uitbetaald.
Ja.
En wanneer zou u ervoor kiezen, denkt u, om die bitcoins te houden en te zeggen, ik hoef ze niet omgewisseld te hebben in euro's, ik hou ze wel als bitcoins?
Als het echt daadwerkelijk omslaat. Dus dat je ook echt in de gaten krijgt van, jongens, nee, nou gaat er echt een sneeuwbal rollen, dus dat die meer wordt. En dan ben je eigenlijk van, nou gaat het lukken en dan gaan we gewoon verder. Dan ga ik gewoon verder.
Deze studenten die hebben van de hand allemaal bitcoins gekregen. En vanavond gaan we die uitdelen. Ja? Nou, ik verstuur nu die bitcoins en dan zou het bij jullie allemaal tegelijk moeten binnenkomen. Nu onderweg. Binnen? 12,79.
En wat is het verschil volgens jullie met de euro?
Dat hij veel meer heen en weer gaat. Ja. Je weet eigenlijk niet echt wat je hebt, in principe. Want zoals nu hadden we 12,69 en nu hebben we weer 12,72.
این دانشجویان علاوه بر سهولت استفاده متوجه کیفیت ناخوشایندتر بیت کوین شدند. میزان سود پرنوسان در مقایسه با دیگر انواع پول که میتواند یک لیوان آبجو را بین سفارش تا تحویل ارزانتر یا گرانتر کند.
So Bitcoin, in my definition, is not money. The key to something being money, in my opinion, is that it's a widely used unit of account, meaning that goods and services are priced in it. So when you go to the coffee shop, you see something priced in Bitcoin. That's not true. There are coffee shops where there are prices in Bitcoin, but that price is changing constantly based on the currency it's linked to. So the pound, for example, here in England lost 20% of its value recently, but the price of coffee didn't change. It was still 99p. That's what it means to be a unit of account, and Bitcoin is not that. The price adjusts based on its exchange rate continuously.
Do you see Bitcoin as a form of money or as digital gold?
So I see gold as money, and I see Bitcoin as having all the same properties of gold with one property that, actually a couple properties that are even better. So gold is kind of hard to divide. Bitcoin divides down to 8 decimal points instantly, super easily. Gold is really, really difficult to transport. If I want to transport gold from here to Moscow, it'll cost a bunch of money to do that, and it's dangerous, and you have to have armed guards and who knows what. With Bitcoin, I can send Bitcoin from here to Moscow or to Holland instantly, just like that, basically for free. I don't have to pay for a bunch of armed guards. It just happens almost like magic.
If you ever ask somebody why they think gold's valuable, they can't ever really tell you. They always give you these like weird stories around, oh, it's like a precious metal, isn't it? It's pretty. While we think it has all this intrinsic value, this intrinsic value of gold has been largely constructed in people's heads, often by actually like association with power, association with religious figures. Bitcoin has potential for similar types of construction. You could create this sense of this almost like a commodity-like token that has no immediate sort of value to it, but can be imbued with value.
As more people start to mine, they become harder and harder to find. So it's kind of been I correlate it to like an arms race, right? The guy with the biggest gun wins at this point. So this is the newest place we've started working on here. This is a place in the mountains in China. It's cool and it doesn't rain that much, so we can cool it very efficiently.
How much do you pay for that electricity on a daily basis?
All in, all of my mines together, we're probably paying about $100,000, maybe a little bit more.
A day?
Yeah.
You're paying $100,000.
I'm sorry, that's per month. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But Bitcoin in general, all myself and all my colleagues combined, it's about $1 million a day in power.
In power consumption. Yeah. And you guys generate what worth of coins?
We're generating. Of course, it depends on the price, right?
Mm-hmm. But current market price?
Right. So we'll just say for $250. We'll just put the price at $250 for easy numbers. You're finding roughly around 25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. So you just take that and times it by an hour. So you're finding around 150 Bitcoins an hour. Take that times 24 and then you do that times 250. Do some back of that. So we're making about $900,000 per day. So a lot of people ask, how is that possible? And the reality is a lot of the Chinese guys, they are mining at a negative profit. One of my friends in Beijing, I met him last month. I met him up again and I asked him, last time I checked, man, your power was pretty expensive. Why are you still mining? And his only words were, I can't stop. So what do you mean you can't stop? You're losing money. He's like, well, I can't. I have all these, pieces of equipment and I just can't stop.
It's gold fever, right?
That's right. And it's interesting because a lot of my colleagues don't see it as a business subconsciously, right? They kind of get addicted to it and kind of get crazy about it.
好，现在看到的就是我们那个长城镇的机房，这是我们大连的1号机房。现在有3层楼，我们使用的是第2层。我们每天的产币量，像这种规模的产币量，大概是在20到25个币之间，大概有3000台左右。那员工大多数的时候，只要在工作时间都是住在这儿的。员工的收入在国内传统的行业来比，同样的职位的话，他们的收入应该是偏高的。这是我们员工的休息的地方，员工的生活很简单。基本上是很枯燥的，大多数时间除了看管机器，那可能就是睡觉、看看书、看看手机，这样。
So what was was supposed to be a very democratic system has ended up concentrating in exactly the same way that we have seen the banks concentrate their business. So now you have most of the miners are based in China, or most of the miners are huge server farms that, you know, the average person can't be a miner anymore in Bitcoin. It's far, you know, the barriers to entry are now really, really quite expensive. You have to invest in at least, you know, thousands of dollars of equipment if you want to be a miner.
And a lot of people who got into the first year of Bitcoin actually had mental breakdowns. It was so beautiful. It was like you're seeing, you know, some of the most remarkable art ever for the first time.
One of the qualities that I don't like about the community is that it's extremely absolutist, it's very politically led, and it assumes that its political ideology is the correct one, and it kind of thrusts its political ideology on everybody else. So I always say, you know, I don't want political ideology when I'm paying for my coffee. I just want a payment network that works and that allows me to benefit from smooth transaction.
Lots of paper money. So this is a receipt, and this is my public address and private key.
You got it covered for us so we cannot film it.
That's right. Bitcoin.
در 2 دهه گذشته تعداد اعضای جامعه بیت کوین روز به روز افزایش پیدا کرده است، نه تنها به دلایل ایدئولوژیکی بلکه به دلایل عملگرا بودن این اجتماع.
In Kiev there are some protests happening. So people started using social media to share their QR code. Within a matter of days they automatically had $15,000 in their wallets from sympathizers to the protests. That money was transferred from around the world. It's an incredibly powerful example because today I spent 7 years in Nicaragua, and today I still cannot use PayPal to transfer money to my friends in Nicaragua.
برای خیلی از دانشمندان علم کامپیوتر، سرمایه‌گذاران و هکرها، سوال اصلی این نیست که آیا بیت کوین به ارزش میلیون‌ها دلار برسد یا نرسد. از نظر آنها اختراع ساتوشی ناکاموتو تکنولوژی زنجیره بلاک است که یک دفتر کل جهانی است و از آن میتوان برای به اشتراک گذاری چیزهایی بیش از پول استفاده کرد.
You may think that Bitcoin is just another way to pay for a cup of coffee, but it's not. Bitcoin is just the denomination used to pay the toll to put stuff on this global ledger. Now, if you think about it, timestamp recordings of deaths, births, property, transactions, votes, this is the entire fabric of our civilization, which makes the blockchain one of the most profound human innovations of our time, because having a massive global ledger as a public utility can completely reorganize the way that we run our societies.
Fundamentally, blockchain is a database sort of mechanism, and it's a standard, it's a protocol, and one of the problems we have in an increasingly globalized system is that everyone is operating their systems on their own local standards, and getting people to do everything in a uniform way that benefits all of us, like, you know, bringing in the metric system, that is really, really hard. Blockchain offers an opportunity to start this new exciting technological industry from a standard that is globalized and potentially uniform. So I see the potential that way.
زنجیره مرکزی بلاک امکان اشتراک گذاری اطلاعات را در نظر عموم فراهم می کند بدون اینکه طرف خاصی سیستم را کنترل کند. در زنجیره بلاک تمامی شرکت کنندگان در شبکه با هم برابرند. شاید ساتوشی ناکاموتو مخترع بیت کوین را تنها روش با این شکل از مردمگرایی دیجیتال دیده است.
I think blockchain technology is really authentically fascinating. Like, I think it's anybody who ignores it and writes it off is probably making a mistake. I think it's definitely not going to get smaller.
اما تا به امروز هویت واقعی معمار این تکنولوژی انقلابی یک راز باقی مانده است.
We can't ask Satoshi questions, which is really frustrating, right? But it's also, again, part of, I think, the magic of Bitcoin is that, we can all kind of imagine this technology, for, as we see it, rather than just as Satoshi did. So it could be used in this way, even if Satoshi didn't intend it to be this widely, worldwide distributed thing. I think Satoshi probably did, but it still could be that, and we can make it that.
Satoshi around here somewhere in Tokyo?
Yeah, I think I see him right there. Oh, that's a question I get a lot, actually. A lot of people have asked me who Satoshi is since I got in so early. I think I've got a pretty good idea, but I like to keep that one close to my chest. So.
Why? Tell me.
Because I'm not 100% certain. And the reality is it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter who Satoshi is. Because now it's kind of grown beyond like a pet project, right?
But Satoshi owns how many coins?
I think he's got about 500,000 locked up.
ساتوشی ناکاموتو با تکنولوژی زنجیره بلاکش به طور کامل از کنترلش بر بیت کوین چشم پوشی کرده است. اما او مالک 1/20 همه بیت کوین هاست. بنابراین اگر روزی بیت کوین در تمام جهان گسترده شود، او یکی از ثروتمندترین مردم روی زمین خواهد شد.
People might find that scary, a new currency or a system based on an inventor who owns already, 1/20th of all the currency he invented.
Yeah.
Isn't that a problem?
Satoshi invented one of the most important inventions in the entire history of humankind that's going to improve the lives of everybody on the planet for the better. If he had half of all the bitcoins, he would still deserve it.
Who do you think Satoshi is?
I think it's probably a band of people who decided that a nom de plume was the best way to go, precisely because if it did take off, there would be too many consequences for an individual, one person, or even a group of people. And from my perspective, you never make a move of this sort without a myth. You need a sort of foundation myth. Every good sort of system of power has a foundation myth, and it's always best if the leader is either anonymous or aloof or in some way distant from the public, because you have to create a sort of mythology around him. And because Satoshi, nobody knows who he is. If we knew who he was, it would almost ruin the whole thing for everybody, I think.
Why did he disappear, you think?
He undermined the ability of every single government on the entire planet to control the money supply, and that's how every single government in the world is controlling their citizens and their economies today. And he just basically, knocked their feet right out from under them with the invention of Bitcoin. And I'm sure that's going to make a lot of people who want to control other people by force really, really upset. So yeah, I think it's really, really smart for him to have disappeared. And for me, it probably would have been smarter for me to keep quiet too, but Bitcoin's too exciting for me to stay quiet about. I think a lot of people are underestimating the way in which Bitcoin and the blockchain are going to change the power structures in society in general. I mean, I grew up in the U.S. and I see all these people like, nuke everybody in the Middle East and kill them all. And then they have the former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright on 60 Minutes, one of the most popular news shows in the U.S. And they asked her, they said, there's reports that more than 500,000 Iraqi children have died as a direct result of U.S. sanctions. And she looks back at her with a straight face and she goes, it was a really tough decision, but I think that it was worth it. Worth murdering 500,000 kids because of what the government did? And I apologize for crying, but it just disgusts me from my core when I see government people murdering people around the world. It's not just theoretical. These are real people with real lives. And it's real people, and Bitcoin has the power to undermine everything they're doing to people around the world. And I'm sorry for shouting, but it just disgusts me what these people in government do. And they do it through central banking and through the control of the money supply, and Bitcoin takes that away from them.